Well, hello everyone, how are you doing this fine day? Hope you're enjoying your week. We got something a little new for you today, something I haven't done in the past. In case you're not aware, every Saturday evenings at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, we host a stream on the channel with an open Discord server that anyone can come in and talk to us. And we do all different kind of things there. But this last Saturday, we did a Helldivers tier list where we essentially took a bunch of universes and put them in a tier list in order of who would survive or who would do good against Super Earth as a faction, basically like a faction versus faction kind of tier list. And I always say at the beginning of these streams that anyone is free to jump in and debate with me, argue with me. You can argue with me about something that I said in my videos that you don't agree with, or you can argue with me about the actual tier list itself. Doesn't matter to me. It's open to the public to come in and tell me all of your grievances. And in this last stream, some fine gentlemen decided to join and take me up on that offer. And we had a debate on Helldivers versus the Imperium Man, as well as a debate on Helldivers versus Star Wars, which the Star Wars one I will release later in the week. This one is just the Imperium Man. So for the purposes of you not just staring at the screen, confused as fuck as what this video even is, that's what it is. So sit tight, I hope you enjoyed the debate, and also, I hope you can join us in a future stream, and even possibly jump into the Discord and physically participate in the stream. That would be cool. And if you enjoy the video, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and join the membership. Remember, if you join the membership, you get videos early. But I'm wasting up your time. Let's get started.
Okay, next up we have Ultramarines.
Oh, just Ultramarines? Not just the Imperium Man?
Would it be a more or less fair fight if it was the entire...
It would not be a fair fight. It would be internal war because... no. Here's the thing. I know this is going to be a shots fired sound. Super Earth is only going to live because the Imperium can't put all its might onto them. Because they're going to have to be dealing with so many problems. There's actually factions in Warhammer that live because of that fact, like the Tau Empire.
Well, okay, so to be clear, what are we doing? Okay, so if we're in the Imperium Man, so is the Tau, the Ultramarines, are these all under the same umbrella of the Imperium Man?
The Tau's an alien faction that it lives basically because.
Okay, so we're not doing the entire Warhammer universe. We're gonna do one faction against one faction. I mean, I guess we.
If it's just one faction, humanity would just ironically. The Imperium would just stomp Super Earth.
Why would the Imperium stomp Super Earth?
I can agree.
Because they are really that much bigger.
Okay, well,
it is.
Well,
wait.
Define bigger.
Don't they have super slow ships?
They do. That is something they do. They are very slow at traveling between worlds. I don't see how they're bigger.
They're, I believe all maps state that it's the entirety of the known unit. Okay, maybe. Okay.
What does that mean? Like if you Helldiver, we don't know how many Helldivers there are. We have no idea. It is essentially limitless. We are going to as Helldivers in the game Helldivers. This game will be up for 10 years. We're going to lose millions and millions and millions of people every day. It's going to continue. As of right now, we've lost like 2 billion people. We're going to keep losing people. Super Earth is never going to care. It's never going to get to a point we're going to run out. We don't know a maximum number. It could be trillions. It could be quadrillions. We don't know.
Here's a measurement that's going to be interesting. For basically 1,000 people are sacrificed every day for 10,000 years, and those are rare people.
38 million Helldivers died in 3 days.
Yeah, but like...
Billions die after one planet gets destroyed by the Imperium when they call, what's it called?
Yes, but Helldivers are not their main forces of fighting. Yeah. The Seath are. Helldivers are their elite operatives that they send down for special operations missions. The fact that 38 million of their elite operatives died means that hundreds, if not billions, hundreds of millions, if not billions, of actual Seath officers were killed.
That's how the Guard actually work.
I know. I'm not saying that they outnumber the Imperium Man. I'm saying that there's no evidence that there's more of the Imperium Man.
We're only taking Ultramarine space here in the question, right?
There are like billions of planets under the Imperium.
Yeah, we don't know how many planets there are under Super Earth. We know that
Ultramarines win. It's an easy W for them.
Okay, how so?
How so? Well, they have the warp. They can pretty much instantly travel to any point of any point of wherever.
They don't control
All
it.
time it takes
They
months
don't
to
control
get
the
from one
they
side
don't
of the
control the
galaxy.
warp, and it takes them forever to travel. That neither of those what you just
Plus,
said.
it opens them up to attacks every time they travel.
I know Warhammer is a massive universe where everything is canon. That's because it's a tabletop universe. If you take the entirety of the Imperium of Man, based on the lore we have in Helldivers and the numbers that we have, Super Earth rivals the size of the Imperium of Man.
Yeah, like, I don't. It's not a numbers. It's not a numbers
But
situation.
it's not a numbers game either. It's Super Earth has more technology than the Space Marines do, and Super Earth can outlast the Space Marines in a war of attrition. Also, you got another $5 Australian. There are officially 10 billion Super Earth citizens, and due to leaked audio, we know that there are 3/4 of Super Earth are SEAF soldiers.
So how do we know? Okay, so how do we know that there's 10 billion Super Earth citizens? And also, you can't take leaked audio as factual because they have a lot of test footage, a lot of audio that comes out that doesn't end up being canon when the game. They fuck with a lot of shit and they change stuff before the actual stuff comes out. So for this game, more so than most, you can't take leaked shit because a lot of times we will know that something is for sure coming out, and then they completely alter it before it releases. That's not canon. That's possible canon. But as
Also,
for the 10 billion Super Earth citizens, where is that at? Because that's not
yeah,
any lore I've ever seen.
No, I want to touch on that because we've already lost over 1 billion Helldivers.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
In the total galactic
We've lost
we
over
did not
2
lose
billion.
1/10.
We've lost
Yeah,
over
we have
2
not
billion
lost 2
Helldivers in the last couple of months since the game released, and it's going to
We have
continue.
not-
There's no way there's
and-
only 10 billion.
We have clearly not lost 1/5 of Super Earth's entire population as just Super Earth, just Helldivers.
Well, there's no way
Like,
that there's no way that 1/5 of Super Earth's population are Helldivers, because the
Yeah,
vast
that's it.
majority are Seaf soldiers. So it's like and I heard I saw another comment earlier that was saying that 38 million is still less than a billion or 100 billion. Yes, but they won that battle, and the 38 million were the elite soldiers of the war. Like that battle, that was just Helldivers. That wasn't the whole what they lost total. That was only in 3 days, and that was a battle that they won. The enemies that they killed over 2 or 3 billion enemies in that same battle. And they always have multiple battles going on at any given time. So that was one battle that was happening on Calypso. They also had several other battles that were happening in Terminids, and they are constantly losing every day. They're losing hundreds of millions of people.
Here's an interesting number. A hive city in Warhammer 40k can literally have like 10 to 100 billion people, and that's one hive city.
The number I see repeated throughout Warhammer, most often for the size of the Imperium, is like 1 million worlds, which is likely used as a figure of speech. But even if you're downplaying, that's quadrillions of people.
Quintillions,
quadrillions, whatever number illions of people.
Sure.
To call upon.
I am not saying that Helldivers is outnumbering the Imperium of Man. I'm saying we don't know because we have no idea how many Helldivers there are. We know that there's no limit to how many Helldivers can die for Super Earth. There are countless Helldivers. We don't know how many planets they have. We know that they've conquered most of the known galaxy. That's all we know. We know that it takes them oftentimes a day or even less to conquer new worlds, and they've been doing this for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We just don't know. There's no number.
Does the setting have anything like a hive city though? Is the population that burgeoning though?
Where there's that many people in one, we don't know. Because as Helldivers, we don't see.
So we can imply that it just doesn't, that there aren't planets that have that kind of population.
No, it doesn't imply that it doesn't. All it is, we play the game as Helldivers. We've never actually been to Super Earth in the game. We don't know what Super Earth looks like. We've seen like some photos, but as far as like their colony, we haven't. The first time we've actually seen a Helldiver city is a month ago, where they added urban areas, and now we can actually see what little colony cities look like. But as a Helldiver, the only thing that you see are worlds that you're invading. You never see what an actual. I am not saying. I feel like y'all keep thinking that I'm saying that they outnumber or something. We don't know the population. It's the same thing I was saying about the Pacific Rim. we
just
can't
saying- I'm just
say
saying
what would
in-
happen if they went to the portal because we don't know what's on the other side of that portal in Pacific Rim. We don't know the population of Helldivers. We know that they
I'm
own
just
most
saying
of the
in
galaxy.
In terms of manpower and industrial output, I'd probably say they have them beat.
But
Yeah,
you're not.
okay. They're an
But
entire planet.
but what are you basing that on other than the fact that the Imperium men have a lot of people? Like you're not basing on anything
their
that you know from
worlds are-
Helldivers.
Their
But-
worlds have been designed meticulously for industrial output.
You are telling me all of these things about the Imperium of Man, but none of that just proves they have a lot of people. That doesn't prove that they have more people than anyone else. That's not what you're just. I get it. There's a lot of people, but you don't know an exact number for Imperium of Man, and you don't know the exact number for the Helldivers. They don't give you. You just know it's countless on both sides.
Right.
Well, then it's entirely comparable. It's infinity versus infinity.
No.
Kind of.
Listen.
I mean,
listen for a
theoretically.
second.
Go ahead.
But also, listen for a second. The entirety of Super Earth. Children at 5 years old are given live grenades.
That's true.
Children at 7 are given their first gun. The entirety of Super Earth is a trained military. You can't say that about the Imperium of Man. Over 3/4
does it
of the
matter?
Imperium population is not trained military, so
It does.
Helldivers can much
That
more
does not
easily
matter.
take over the
No.
population.
Oh, okay, over 3/4. Again, just goes back to the numbers argument. How many guardsmen are there in the Imperium? You can't count them.
He's look. If you're because now you're changing what you said. You just said a second ago that if they're both basically infinite because we don't know a number and we just know it's countless, so we're gonna say that they're comparable. And now Dan is saying
I said they're incomparable because of that.
no. You said they were comparable.
No, I said it's incomparable. Incomparable. You cannot compare two countless numbers clashing each other. That's not possible.
What are you talking about?
Can I please
If they're the same, yeah, you can speak. Go ahead.
So, when it comes to numbers, yes, from what I could see, the Helldivers do outnumber the Ultramarines if we're only doing Ultramarines. But on the ground, Space Marines do overpower the Helldivers when it comes to handheld weapons and guerrilla warfare.
How so?
But these Ultramarines can be injured and killed by orbital stratagems.
They could be
stratagems in general.
They could be killed by basic hand weapons.
That's
written in the lore.
All it takes is a single ship to have an exterminus bomb, and But not only that, but what is the time? Do we know what the time is for the Helldivers universe?
What do you mean?
Like, what is the year? What is the calendar date?
It doesn't matter. It's like 22, 23 something, but it doesn't matter because it's an alternate history from from ours. Like you can't compare it to our time periods.
Yeah, but no, I'm just comparing it to the Warhammer time period.
I don't know. It's like 22, 23, 2400. I don't remember. Something like that. It's like 200 or 300 future of ours, but they got.
I think it's reasonable to
40K is
presume
the
that
year. It's literally the something
Yeah,
year
no,
like
I know.
4,000,
I'm aware.
40,000.
No, 40,000.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to presume that Warhammer would
No,
have
actually, they're stagnant.
would have a larger population.
No. Yeah, you cannot presume that something's more because of a time period. Sorry. Because in 200 or 300 years we couldn't have let me talk. Because in 200 or 300 years we would not be able to have a population that they have in Super Earth. That would not be possible. So it's clearly not going by that. So like why would that matter? If they wanted to, they can write a fictional story that takes place in the year 1300 and has literally octillions of people. I mean, it's not really a relevant thing. You keep trying to go back to this numbers thing. You can't go to that because you don't know the number. You don't know the numbers of the own series that you're trying to define, and you don't know the numbers of the one that you're arguing against. So I don't know.
Nobody does.
Exactly? So why are you arguing it?
Well, it's the most important aspect in a war.
Not if you don't know it, then it doesn't matter.
Even going,
You can't come to a
even going
conclusion.
away from the numbers for a minute.
The numbers
Something I
determine
wanna
how
bring
technology will be used or how anything else
Okay.
that will spin a war will be
Pat-
used.
Somebody was gonna speak.
Even ignoring the numbers, if we start comparing ships and weapons, Helldivers outclass the Imperium of Man because a standard destroyer that is issued to a Helldiver can 100% destroy any ship in the Warhammer universe. And I say this as a tabletop player. I know the specs on those ships.
No,
They
I
are
agree.
outclassed.
Let's assume an army of infinite versus infinite, then just compare their technologies.
Not knowing the full numbers of something is not the same thing as infinite. If it's infinite and infinite, that means that eternal war is the only possibility. That there is no other possibility outside of that. So we're not assuming infinite. We're just not taking the leap in logic to say that this one has more than this, because we can't do that. Like, if both of them are so countless and so unfathomably high, we'll just assume that their armies are probably similar in size, and that be that. And then it'll just be tactics and shit. But yeah, no, infinite would automatically mean eternal war, unless someone can literally like erase all people.
Ironically, the Necrons could, but they don't want to do that because it would backlash against them.
Or the God Emperor, because an infinite amount of people would amp him and essentially make him another Chaos God.
Now,
That's another
to be fair, if we're adding things like that, if we're adding things like the Emperor of Man or Chaos Gods, then obviously, and they're specifically fighting against the Helldivers, then obviously it's a pretty one-sided fight. You're literally adding gods to it. But if we're talking about just an army against an army, and we're not counting all of the other fucking like crazy shit on the outside.
The issue is you're taking the Ultramarines at face value, right? It's just the Ultramarines?
No, I was saying, well, I originally I did a video that was Ultramarines, but when I put the picture, I just said, well, we'll just do the Imperium of Man. Why not? I don't have an issue with doing the Imperium of Man.
Well, then I'd say the Imperium wins.
Well, okay, but you got to say how.
Okay.
How?
Also, before
Simple.
you get going.
One person. Let him talk. Let the guy talk who said the Imperium wins. Let him talk.
All right, Cassius, go ahead.
What is the scale of the weapons in this setting?
Pretty much all their ships can casually blow up moons. They have technology that can blow up planets. They can open up a black hole that is larger than a planet. It's basically. I think they can fuck with stars. It's like this, in generally that kind of level. They're not destroying solar systems or galaxies or universes.
May I have a turn, please?
Yeah.
I've been waiting.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Imperium. Oh, sorry. Okay,
Dude,
the
Trip.
Imperium has.
Trip, dude. That guy just asked. Guy who asked, go.
Alright, so the Imperium could have at one point won a war against Super Earth. However, it is that the Imperium is basically at a barbaric state compared to what it used to be. Now, going by that logic, if the Helldivers take any of the weapons, which it's been shown that even the weapons that even the Space Marines use are pale imitations of their originals, the Helldivers are likely going to take these and innovate them into putting them into their normal casual SDAF infantry to the point where you throw a Space Marine at them, they're not going to care because they already have weapons to punch through. What you said is reinforced titanium.
It's titanium alloy. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got so many things, and not to mention is that if we're going to go by throwing the Imperium at them, it would be an eternal war if it weren't for the fact that the Imperium has shown that they aren't equal to fighting like 20, 30 million people at once. That's what they are, but it's just they're unable to concentrate any force at any dedicated place due to the kerfuffle that is the war. Whereas the Helldivers can send everyone to one place at one exact moment.
Yeah, well, look, is it like this thing? I think Warhammer fans love to do this shit. They just they will say things that directly oppose what different. Like, I don't know. It's probably because the actual lore is all over the place and contradicts itself. So I give them a little bit of a break. But we know their ships take months to travel between planets. That right there is a massive issue since Helldivers can travel anywhere they want, whenever they want. They can bend space and go from point A to point B instantly. Like, we know that they can only make 1,000 Space Marines, although it does go up when they're at war, and there's even some of them kind of cheap. Yeah, there are more, but generally speaking, before a war starts, most of them only have 1,000. Some of them go higher before that, and they kind of cheat the system. But they don't. That's not the majority of their army. The majority of their army are the regular ground troops, and the regular ground troops do not have weapons or armor or technology that is anywhere near what the Helldivers have, and they don't have as many of them. So it's
and they're held in place by fear.
What's up?
Excuse me. I would. Oh, you go on. Go on.
Okay, so what we're focusing on is the numbers of troops. We're not focusing.
Well, we're not focusing on the numbers of troops. We got
firepower.
The firepower is more important than the numbers of troops because we already established that we don't know the numbers for the full numbers of either army. So the numbers it's a pointless conversation that's going to go in a constant circle. So if you're going to have this debate, we're just going to assume that the numbers it doesn't matter. 10 million, 100 million, billions, doesn't matter. We're going to assume same numbers on both sides because we can't actually say who has more. They are both countless and uncountable. So assuming that there's the same amount, give your argument.
Which, like I said a few minutes ago, that yes, Helldivers do outnumber, but depending on what weapons used, they don't outpower. But the put aside the numbers of troops, like I said, Space Marines do have a advancement when it comes to guerrilla warfare and handheld weapons. But
I don't think they
can
do.
Be killed by certain kinds of stratagems.
I don't think they do. You've said that already. They do not have stronger weapons. That's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So
I said handheld.
They don't have stronger handheld weapons. We went over this in a video when I debated it with this other guy. But the bolters, even the heavy bolters, they're like the equivalent of like a 20 millimeter shot or something like that. The Helldivers weapons have 40, 60, and 80 millimeter shot. Like they're way bigger. The weapons they use should not be fireable by a regular human being. They have a cannon called a quasar cannon that shoots a small star that explodes. The Imperium of Man, their basic handheld weapons are not stronger than Helldivers. Not even close. Like you can have a single shot from a weapon from the Helldivers blow up a massive fucking factory with a single shot, and it's regular bullets. It's not an explosive round or anything like that. Like their shit is insane. Like they take down giant factory striders, which are these huge four-legged, fucking like tank small they're like giant walking fortresses, and then you can single shot or like 2 or 3 shot blow them up. They're like the weapons. The armor of a Space Marine is not tanking the strongest handheld weapons of the Helldivers. It's not. They're put on. They can both kill each other with their weapons.
Super Earth wins
what
this
I was
one.
going to say.
Okay, so
No, Cav.
Let Dan. It's Dan's turn. We'll go in a circle. Whoever wants to talk, you'll get your chance. But let Dan talk.
So, what I was trying to say
ahead, Dan.
earlier is just that the Helldivers also have a massive knack for innovation. And if we're throwing the Imperium of Man into the Helldivers universe, they aren't just going to be contending with specifically Helldivers. If they're in the universe as the Imperium of Man, suddenly there's Terminids attacking them. There's automatons attacking them.
Well, to be fair, Dan. To be fair, if we're only giving them the Imperium of Man, we got to give only them Super Earth. We can't have multiple armies against one army. It's just gonna be one.
Even so, well, even if you added them in and it just became a 4-way fight, it just becomes a new set for the Galactic War. But the problem is that the entirety of Super Earth that we know takes any technology they are faced with and immediately adapts it within a month. So the minute one Marine, not even 10, but one Marine goes down, which they eventually would, the weapons and the armor and the genetic engineering from that Marine is all reverse engineered and is out to the divers and the SCAF within a month.
How do you know they'd reverse their genetic engineering so quickly?
Because
they'd be able to do it.
Because they reverse engineer all the technology. Yeah, they reverse engineered all of the technology from every being that they fought, every species that they fought against.
Oh, this just seems like a diff in terms of
That's technology. That's not genetics.
Well, no. What I'm trying to explain is
they've done it with genetics too.
The Emperor got the blueprint for Space Marines and for all these genetic enhancements from dealings with the Chaos Gods. So this is something beyond like the capacities of a man who is basically at the peak of science and understanding and human mentality. So this is basically just a diff in what two different universes are capable of. One can do this shit like it's nothing, while the other literally needs to commune with Chaos Gods to do it. It doesn't really seem like the logic behind their strength doesn't really seem to fit.
Not really. I mean, not really. If you're looking, well, Dan, let me say. If you're not really, because it would like. Just because the 40K universe has to be given it by someone else, that doesn't suddenly make like it's smarter what they have to do. I mean, the Helldivers have had the Helldivers have had to deal with genetic modification of different people, including their own citizens. They've had to deal with beings that can control people's minds. They've had to deal with beings who can control time and matter and space. They have opened up gates into new universes. Although, to be fair, while they've done that, they weren't really aware that they did that, but they did do it. But yeah, they've taken technology that the Illuminates, who were thousands and thousands of years beyond them in technology, and they were able to not only take it and adapt it, but they improved upon it and turned it into weapons and did things that even the Illuminate weren't aware that that technology could perform. Their ability to adapt technology and upgrade it and adapt it, it's better than the Imperium of Man has. Just because the Imperium of Man needs to get help to do theirs and the Super Earth doesn't suddenly mean Super Earth can't do it. I don't see, if they can open up gates into other worlds and alter matter and time and all this sort of stuff, I don't see why they wouldn't have issues with doing the warp. Like, unless you just as a fan of that series just hold the warp in such a high regard more than any other science fiction bullshit.
It's not so much the warp, it's the fact that this is something that is in one universe viewed as simple, while in another is viewed as so complex that even in the age of technology they couldn't have dreamed of having things like this. So
even
to me,
if I can just get this in here quickly,
yeah, go ahead,
because I don't want the conversation to move too far forward. The God Emperor of Mankind got the blueprint for Space Marines and was then able to make Space Marines, which means the genetic engineering wasn't outside of their technology, it was the specific method to do it that he hadn't figured out yet, which means that if one Space Marine goes down and a body is left behind, it can be reverse engineered. It might take longer than a month, but I'm saying based on like Helldivers' previous updates, it's usually a month between when they release stuff like that. I mean, the DSS was longer to build, and we have that now, but it did take longer than a month. So they would eventually figure it out, because the blueprint has already been made. It's already happened once, so now you can reverse it and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I would simply say that I don't think a limitation of the Imperium of Man, which suddenly makes it a limitation of all other fictional universes, just because they can't adapt shit.
Well, I'm mostly just trying to say that the logics of the universes are very comparable, because earlier on we were talking about like the warp and how it would be very slow for them to get through, but if you're going to include the warp as a detriment to them, you might as well also include it as a boon and bring up the God Emperor existing and his miracles, or the Chaos Gods and all of their dealings.
I'm not
because
saying
if the warp is going to be a detriment to them, it should also be
I'm
a
not
boon.
saying it's a detriment to them. I'm saying that they can't I'm saying that they can't travel through space quickly. They don't have a method
that's
of
a
doing
massive detriment to them because of the
but
way
that's
the
because they suck.
But that's
because they suck at traveling. That's not. I mean, yeah. If they have psychers and stuff, that will be added into it. I mean, it's not like we're not going to have anything that they're good at. But yes, not being able to travel through space, even if you don't want to use the warp and you just have ships that travel through space, they don't have the scientific technology to allow them to do that. So I don't see. You can't have this conversation and not bring that up. That they just can't travel quickly. Because then otherwise you just have to lie and make up and say, yeah, they could travel instantly just like the Helldivers can, when they clearly cannot.
There are actually people who can predict the future, not perfectly, mind you, because the tides of the war, but predicting futures are possibilities. There are mind readers. Matter of fact, that's actually a main way of communications, because they can communicate farther with telepathic messages than they can with
so can the Illuminates. Yeah, so can the Illuminates.
True.
Yeah, speak.
Yeah, go ahead. Let the other guy talk.
Me or him?
The other guy, yeah.
So, I think what we should do is just put it in an eternal war, because neither side is going to relinquish this argument. And honestly, it's kind of one of those things where if they're too infinite...
I think it's reasonable to presume.
I think it's interesting.
Infinite war.
I think it's an interesting conversation. But yeah, we
mentioned that Mr. M did.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, Mr. M.
Because while they would be adapting, while it would be easy to presume that Super Earth would adapt the Empire's technology, it could also be presumed. Well, no, it would be presumed that the Imperium would be adapting Super Earth's technology.
It's not so much adapt. Well, okay, I'm going to give them that for a second that something like that might happen. But it's not so much that they adapt technology; it's so much that they adapt and they improve upon it beyond what the people they adapted from it is. So if they, like I said, they were able to get the Illuminate technology, were way beyond them, and use their technology to do things that the Illuminate never thought even possible with their own technology. And they were the most intelligent, most advanced species in the entire galaxy. If the Helldivers got their hands on the Imperium of Man technology, the Imperium of Man would start seeing them using it in ways that the Imperium of Man weren't even aware they'd be able to use it in. You're talking about you're going to have Helldivers that are superior to that of Space Marines with more powers, more abilities, stronger, and you're like, how the fuck did they even do this?
But there would be some presumption to be made that the same thing could be done on the other side. What's to say the Mechanicus couldn't get their hands on the technology that they adapted from, like, the Illuminates, you say? And,
we weren't adding the Illuminate. Well, we weren't adding the Illuminates in. It was just gonna be the Helldivers. It was just gonna be the Helldivers.
The Helldivers Illuminate improved tech.
The Mechanicus hate using Xenos technology. There are some that do. There are some that want to, but as the overarching law,
but you have to remember, it's still humans.
Yes, that's why it still happens, but they are fanatical zealots to not using alien technology. It's very rare.
Not entirely rare. I mean,
also, it's considered heresy to the Inquisition if any guardsman, space marine, etc. uses a Xenos weapon.
Yes, but there's plenty of chapters. There's plenty of groups in the Imperium that that disregard those rules completely.
Yes, there are, but that they're so seldom that the mass scale that they would need to have an overall change in utilizing the new weapons, it's gonna be slow to a crawl to the point where even I, who love this setting, would say they basically won't be doing it.
I'm not even that big of
I have to stab my setting in the dick in this.
I just don't see it. I just don't see them losing.
Seriously,
coming to a stalemate. Yeah.
Well, look, if the numbers are high enough, like if the numbers are just ridiculously high, they're not. Both series. There's actually a decent amount that's similar about these. Both series are about continuous wars that will never end. Like literally both of them. They're both designed in that way. The Imperium of Man are designed to forever be at war with these other groups, and there are things within the setting that are built specifically, like Khorne and stuff like that. They're specifically designed. I was like, yes, this is like the whole universe is just gonna go forever. Helldivers is the exact same way. Helldivers has overcome the enemies that they have fought against, but always only temporarily. Like the Illuminate, they defeated they brought them to near extinction, and then they basically banished the rest of them outside of the universe to a whole other universe. I don't necessarily see that happen with the Imperium of Man, but the Illuminates were never completely eliminated. Now they're back. Like they are both settings that just have infinite wars.
Rouga?
What's up?
I would put Warhammer 40k or just the Ultramarines in the category of fight a bit more.
I put them in stalemate.
So you think they would lose?
Can I put in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the big bottleneck for Warhammer is that they need psychers to pilot their ships.
Well, see, that's the thing. The guy, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, man. The guy who's arguing for them like the hardest, he hasn't even brought up psychers, which I was kind of waiting for him to bring up psychers and all like that crazy stuff, but he hasn't even really brought them up.
They're somewhat rare.
I'm curious as to why, because I've heard that there are psychers.
They're somewhat rare.
I've heard that there are psychers that could blow. I mean, that would probably be the point that I would make. But I've heard that there are psychers that could like blow up planets and do all kinds of crazy shit. And it's like, okay, well, like, where are they at? But
ironically, the Imperium spends a lot of time hunting their own psychers.
Yeah, so they can feed them to the Emperor.
Yeah, that's the 10,000 people. Sorry, that's the 1,000 people they feed a day because
I just didn't bring up psychers because I just think on sheer industrial output alone, I think the Empire should win.
But the problem with that
but
is
I don't think they
need them to pilot their ships.
I don't think they have. What are you talking about? When you say industrial output, are you talking about the weapons that they create, or are you talking about the people that they have?
I'm talking about both. I'm talking about just how much shit they have. So
like I said,
although I think the Empire would completely destroy the Helldivers universe. The Empire, as in Star Wars.
Oh,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that one, and if you're here to defend it, we could talk about it.
Can I speak?
I believe that's in here.
Talk?
That is in here. Yeah, you can talk. Go ahead.
But, like the psychers and stuff, a lot of them are like super hard to find, and a lot of those top tier psychers that can like blow up planets and do all this crazy crap they're just so rare that it's very hard to find them, and then even when they do find them, they're often just kidnapped and yoinked and sent to the Emperor. So
Yeah, I mean, look, I constantly hear people who are fans of Warhammer 40k talking about it as it is the most powerful setting in fiction. They talk about
I think Star Wars mogs it.
They talk about it the same way they talk about like H.P. Lovecraft and the fucking like that kind of, and I'm like, I don't fucking see what you guys are talking about. Like, I really don't see the power here. Like, when I look at what the feats that they're capable of, when I look at like what the like
at most it's galactic with Warhammer. That's at most you can put it at.
And that's if you're talking about the gods and shit. Like, no,
yeah.
I have
because
heard
the Chaos Gods are contained within the galaxy.
Yeah, well,
they're only as strong as the galaxy.
No, but I'm saying I have heard people make arguments for individual space marines, like individual space marines being able to take on people like fucking Kratos and shit. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Like,
I mean, Goku just no diffs the Warhammer universe
a
entirely.
lot of people know diff Warhammer universe entirely. It's not that exaggerated. Go ahead, guy who's been trying to talk.
Superman no diffs.
So about Psychers. So if I'm correct, the majority of Psychers are the Great, which is basically a hidden army from a other legion, chapter, in short, anything in Imperium.
I don't think that's all of them. I think they have their own like psyker groups for different cathedrals.
Most chapters have their form of librarians.
Yes, but from what I know, the Grey Knights are a secret chapter that have the most Psychers.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop
They're
you
all
there.
Psychers.
You're not gonna use the Grey Knights. They're in dedicated demon fighting duty.
Well, I mean, they could.
I know.
They could. They
But I thought we weren't bringing up chaos here.
We were.
If we're gonna bring up chaos. Okay, well, if you're gonna bring up chaos, then wouldn't Super Earth fall to Chaos Incursions because
We
don't
were
have the God
look,
Emperor?
we were doing army against army. We weren't bringing up chaos gods.
Yeah, so then they would be able to recruit them. They would be able to use those Psychers because chaos isn't a factor here.
That's why I didn't. That's why I didn't bring up.
Psychers are separate from those warp entities. They're connected to the warp. The Chaos
Well, no,
Gods
they have to tap into the warp for their powers,
Yes,
though.
they
So if you
can
remove the warp, then they don't
warp
have any
is
powers.
The warp and the Chaos Gods aren't the same thing. The Chaos Gods are just entities that reside in the warp and are very powerful. You can use psychic powers. There's an entire race, the Eldar. They use psychic powers, and they're firmly against the Chaos deities. You don't need the Chaos Gods to use warp powers.
Are we all in agreement that as of right now it's Eternal War, or if does someone want to keep arguing to the point that
I think it would be Eternal War.
Okay, Eternal. Everyone's happy with that.
If you aren't bringing up chaos as a factor, then yes, it's Eternal War.
Yeah, I was doing army versus army. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, if we do Eternal War, then that's just going to put more weight on the Imperium, and I'm sure the Imperium aren't going to want to waste their time with people that are pretty much like the Astra Militarum they have.
I mean, they've been wasting their time for 40,000 years in a non-stop war. So I don't think time is the thing they're worried about. Yeah, I don't think they're worried about wasting their time.
They're not worried about wasting their time.
No.
They would fully engage a forever war.
Yeah, it's what. Yeah,
they're already engaged in a forever war against chaos.
Yes,
That's like the whole
both
point.
universes. Both universes are in a forever war currently.
I want to hear what Megatron guy's gonna say.
Megatron's in here?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, what's up?
So I've been listening to this whole debate, and I'm trying to be neutral. So I'm gonna say it would be fight a little bit more, and the sole reason is just because one of the few things I know that are 100% certain about the Warhammer universe is that they travel so slowly. So even if they are mutual sizes, I just feel like the fact that the Helldivers are going to take the Warhammer tech, so the Warhammer tech is not going to give them an edge. The only thing that they'll have is that they're similar sizes, so it'll be lasting a while. I do think the war will last a while, but I think the Helldivers will eventually win after maybe like decades of them fighting, but it's not going to go on infinitely. Because the Helldivers are traveling so much faster.
I agree with the concept that I think that them not being able to travel very fast is too big of a hindrance for them to win. However, the numbers is also kind of an issue where it's like I don't see them ever winning, but I also don't see Helldivers ever wiping all of the Imperium of Man off the map, which is what would have to happen in order for
Because
it
if
to
the
not be
Imperium does
eternal.
start dying, it will just go to desperate measures, and it will just use all that technology that they decided not to use.
I mean, yeah, but none of that technology is going to be able to.
They'll just pull They'll just pull a super weapon from the age of technology out of their ass that they've been saving.
That's
them
fine,
years.
but they all have. But both sides have super
Yeah,
advanced
so
weapons. So
they destroy each other.
well, they wouldn't. They
they
wouldn't
would either
destroy.
destroy each
They
other, or
wouldn't.
they would probably be
Well, they wouldn't
inseparable.
destroy each other. Helldivers would destroy the Imperium of Man considerably faster because they could travel faster. They could literally just start going from planet to planet, blowing them up, and they can blow up literally, I don't know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of worlds in the time it would take Imperium Man to just arrive to the next planet. Like the speed of which that Helldivers can take over a planet and destroy them and move on to the next one is considerably faster than what the Imperium of Man can do. That is why I give Helldivers the edge. It's not necessarily because of the technology or anything like that. I think that the lack of travel speed is the biggest hindrance the Imperium of Man have. But you are right in the possibility that they could eventually acquire that technology at some point. I just don't know how fast they'll be able to do that because the Helldivers do it considerably faster. Like the Helldivers can literally do it in a matter of days or weeks. And I just don't think that they just don't work that slow. I mean, they don't work that fast, the Imperium Man. But I'm still putting it in Eternal War because I also don't see Helldivers just straight up slaughtering everybody either. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
It's just going to take forever. Like, it would take way too long. Like, how long would it take for the Helldivers to successfully wipe out 1 million worlds while they are also continuously having more, like, kids and, like, continuously grow? I mean, you're talking about, I don't know, thousands and thousands of years bare minimum, if not hundreds of thousands a year. Like, it would take forever. So we essentially should call it an Eternal War.